So Brandon started before me today because I cut timber and had to go look at timber, and I think he took off work a little early just to work on this. And he finished the roll bar for the other 548D, which he went ahead and put it on too. But right now he's working on a grate that goes right below the grapple, and most skidders have these grates. Now this one you can see where it'd been there and it'd been tore off, ripped off. I don't know whoever had this thing before us, just destroyed it, but Brandon built a brand new one. You can kind of see parts of it back there, and we'll go back in just a second. But the reason I like that grate there is because it keeps logs from getting between the arches of the grapple, kind of in that open area. And at the same time, I always ride to the chainsaw back there when I'm going through the timber, and it'll keep my chainsaw from, I've been fortunate so far, but I've had chainsaws fall off the back and I haven't noticed it, so this will in turn help keep those saws from falling out of the back. So we'll go back here and we'll take a look at it. Good looking grate. 1/2-inch steel. Brandon, he went and got that piece of, well, he got a big piece of 1/2-inch plate, then he cut that out to spec. Of course, he cut all the little little lines and holes in it. That's going to work good though. I mean, that's going to work real good. And originally from the factory, these skidders had a grate like that. I mean, really identical to that in there. And like I said, it serves two purposes for me. For one, when I'm dragging logs, because there's sometimes you'll get a bite further back on a log when you go to choke up on them. So it's always essential for us to keep those logs as high as we can to keep them out of the dirt and the mud and the rock. So sometimes those logs want to come in between your arches right there. Well, that'll kind of eliminate that. At the same time, I always keep my chainsaw back here on the back. Well, there's times that saw wants to slide right on off the back, and that'll help catch the saw from sliding off the back there. Because the last thing you want to do is be dragging logs and lose a $1,300 or a $1,870 saw, depending if I'm using a 661 or an 880. Because that's about what those suckers cost. We can get the 661s for, we can get them for a little under 13, but the 880s, the last 880s I bought were like 1875. I got those, and that's the 20-inch, or excuse me, 25-inch bars, 404 chain options. So that's going to work real good. Now Brandon's, he just started welding on the other side of this over here. Now he's put several passes on this right here just to ensure it holds good. And it is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Logs are going to hit that. It's going to take abuse, just like everything on these log skidders do. They're just full of abuse. But that should work really well, and I don't think, no harder than we work these machines, I don't think we'll ever have any trouble tearing that up. Because, you know, a lot of guys on these things, they just run them just as hard as they can, production logging. Well, that's not really what we do. I mean, we production log, I guess, in a sense, but we're not trying to cut several loads of logs every day. We're just trying to cut high volumes of walnut timber. It's just a little different deal, which you guys that watch our channel day in and day out, you know the type of logging we do. And there's times we get back in the bottoms and cut some other species too. That tree pusher, it's really turned out good. Play back here. Really looks good. Really looks good. Well, skidder's got a smoking problem, doesn't it? We still got some work to do on it this week. Like I said, we're just going to try to make a series this week of working on this skidder. Some videos will be longer than others. Some videos will be shorter than others, naturally. But like I said, Brandon got here and got to working on today before I did. So he a little further along. I'd like, because he used the air gouge to gouge out the old broken piece of metal that was there. I'd like to see that, because that's pretty cool stuff. But other things we're going to do this week, we're going to repack this cylinder here. And originally there was a handle right here. I want to put that handle back on there because all my other skidders have got it. And that is really bad when I go to dismount on this side of the skidder and I go to reach for that handle right there and I'm getting off backwards. So that's one thing I want to get put back on here is this handle. And like I said, whoever had this thing at one time was just hard on it, just terribly hard on it. We were laughing and joking around. This is for us when we get these old skidders, because we buy several of these old B&D models, and we'll buy them, fix them up. Some of them I'll resell, some of them I'll keep. It just depends. But I kind of enjoy doing it. It just gives me and Brandon something to do. Of course, I enjoy. We used to have the G series, used to have the big apprentice you've seen. I mean, the newer stuff like the Timberjack 360s, or we had Timberjack 462. And that new iron's great, it really is, I love it. But all that computerized nonsense on it, we've kind of got away from it, went back to this older, all mechanical iron, the smaller stuff, just because it's easier to move for what we do. And it might take us a little longer, but we can still move volumes of timber with this little iron. The fuel consumption's better, the parts are normally cheaper. You're never too far from a John Deere dealership. I could name off reason after reason why we've gone back to just running this older John Deere iron. The B's and D's, they're proven skidders. They're hard to beat. These are just old tough skidders. And just like this, when you buy one, now these old machines, you know, they're going to have some wear and tear from over time. But when you buy them, man, it never hurts to get them back, do a little rehab on them, fix them up, and just like putting the tree pushers on them. We kind of fix them up to our specs, what we need out of a skidder. You know, those tree pushers, we don't use them all the time, but when you need them, they're handy. And there's other things we've kind of dreamt up along the way, things we might see handy that we'll put on skidders, especially a couple more cable skidders in the future. We'll make some future videos. We'll show you some things. And it's not all necessarily things we come up with. It's just things we've seen people do, and we've put our own twist on it and found our own way to make it work for us. Well, Brandon's ingenuity, that is. He's the fabricator and he's the mastermind when it comes to building and shaping all this metal and putting it on. So we'll wait till he gets done welding this, which it'll be a while yet. He's got a few passes to make on that side yet. Like I said, he's putting a lot of metal on there to make sure everything stays in place, because it'll get used, it'll get abused, like all this stuff does. So we'll cut off here, and here in a bit we'll see what it looks like when he's done. It kind of looks like Bane. He's got a breathing apparatus on. Sneak around the corner there. A little polishing there. We got some new hoses. Replaced some old ones that were leaking in terrible shape. I thought they were around here, maybe they're not, but they go from the rotator motor all the way down the boom, and they hook in right down here. They were in terrible, terrible shape. So while we were there, we went ahead and replaced them. Got the new ones made. They're long hoses. So we've got that to put on, which they actually relatively come on and off pretty easy, considering where they're at. Just finishing up the last passes on the grate right now. The boss is home. That'll look good being able to see those logs having the bars cutting that plate there to make it a grate, I guess. So this junction box thing for we thought it went to the Grapple, but it doesn't. This actually sits on top of the arch there, but it was leaking real bad out of the top, we noticed the other day, so we took it apart, and I'm not going to attempt to pull that back out of there because it was heavy, but we're going to I'm going to pick up a seal kit for it tomorrow in Springfield, because I'll be down there only for meetings. I got to look at timber in Reed Springs, Missouri, then I got meetings. So I'm going to go by Deere. I've got a bunch of parts to pick up anyway. So we'll get the seal kit for this and get it resealed kind of slow. Because it was probably the worst leak on the skidder. It really was. It was leaking real bad. And this is the bottom of it right here. The top side's what was leaking down here on this side. The oil was just pouring out of it. Of course, it set right up in there. A terrible place. So now we're going to run these new hoses down in here because they were bad. maybe after we're done, we'll have a dry machine. Be pretty close, because that was the main leak, and the other leak was on the cylinder right here. So we'll about have all of our leaks solved when we get done with this little adventure. There's a finished product on the grate. Finished product on the tree pusher. Pretty soon. Finished product on the hoses. Alright, this is up here on top of the tower here, and that's where that junction box goes, and that nasty glob of a mess right there. And we thought originally that was the hydraulic motor that turned all this, and it's not. All that does is these hoses run to it. It just connects to these hoses that open and close the grapple. Lets it swivel, thank you. And I assume these hoses down here and all this nasty stuff, there's a third one down there somewhere. I assume they go to this box here. And this gear is what rotates the grapple, this smaller gear to the big gear. Not a mechanic, don't know. Just assuming. What a mess. What a mess. It'd been leaking since we bought this skidder. Been leaking bad, and I'm glad it's going to be a pretty easy fix, because it was leaking a lot of oil, and I hate leaks. So save us a lot of headache right here. Save us a lot of headache and a lot of oil puddles, which I absolutely hate oil puddles, especially on a job, or just like I said, I hate leaks. I absolutely hate leaks. It's a waste of oil. It makes everything look bad, I think. So one step closer to having this mess wrapped up. Getting ready to feed the second hose. Calling it a night. Enjoy today's video. It's just more of working on the skidder, and it was some stuff from yesterday we went ahead and threw in there for today's video too. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our social outlets at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Turner Logging LLC. Check out everything we do on Logger Threads at loggerthreads.com, or the Logger Threads socials at Logger Threads on Instagram and Logger Threads on Facebook. The new designs, the fuel, we just dropped those today, so check those out. And be sure to check out everything Timber Tracker with the app. Website should be live the 1st of February, that new website. Lots and lots and lots and lots of time, money, and thought have went into this website. So check it out. When it goes live, we'll give a full rundown and breakdown of all the things it does and all the things it can offer you. Guys, thanks so much. We will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the video.